Okay, so we've got a little break in the bitter cold temperatures here in New York City. So I thought it'd be fun to dip down to the Lower East Side, check out Orchard Street, which has recently been named the coolest street in the country. Pay homage to the late, great Lower East Side legend, Jimmy Webb. And then, of course, finish things off with a trip to Katz's Deli, where we polish off a pastrami and mustard on rye. All right, we are here at the corner of Rivington and Ludlow, which a couple years ago was renamed Beastie Boys Square, because, of course, right behind me is the famous location of the cover of the Beastie Boys album, Paul's Boutique. All right, this is the view of the store you see on the album cover, looking down Ludlow. I do love that this has been memorialized here. Paul's Boutique was definitely my favorite Beastie Boys album. God, I listened to that so much in college. So cool to see it here, where the album cover was shot. Now, super real talk, I've never been like a massive fan of this mural. I feel like it sort of makes MCA look more like kind of like a 50s greaser in a leather jacket, sort of giving off Sharks and Jets vibes. Anyway, rip MCA. It's interesting that this is right around the corner from Beastie Boys Square, because in a lot of ways the clothing here, this vintage, really reminds me of the late 80s when the Beastie Boys would sort of wear a lot of ironic stuff from the late 70s, 80s, a lot of fur coats, stuff they raided from that mansion they were living in LA at the time. Pretty fascinating stuff. And then, of course, the 8-ball jackets bring it right back to the 90s. And while it definitely has been gentrified a lot down here, this is definitely not a place where you get too comfortable and forget about your surroundings. It's definitely worth keeping an eye on who's looking at you, especially if you've got like camera gear and whatnot. Doing something like this, you could be putting a target on yourself. Don't feel like it's a dangerous place per se, but it's also not Disneyland, so just typical New York rules apply here. All right, behind me here, 75A Orchard Street. It's now a tattoo parlor. This used to be I Need More, which was run and owned by Jimmy Webb, who was sort of a New York institutional legend down here in the Lower East Side. He used to dress rock stars at Trash and Vaudeville on St. Mark's for decades, and then with the help of some of his high-profile and fellow sober friends like Slash and Duff McKagan, he was able to own and open his own store here on Orchard Street. And I actually came back here in 2018 and interviewed him, and he told us the story of how he was always able to get into Studio 54.
From day on one, dude, this is why it's so rock. From day one, waved right in by Mark. I always say Mark the doorman.
Mark Beneke.
Yeah, like a big piece of my heart and who I am. When I run into him or meeting him years later and saying thank you, he and I was dressed out of the garbage. I had some shitty ass pants someone gave me. I safety pinned those shits together.
Yeah.
I listened to Iggy's nightclubbing before I went. I took some acid. I went out that door and I marched down that street with a feather boa. You know what I mean? And it was like, yo, come on in, boy.
Oh my God, that's incredible.
Same hair I have now. Dude, some things are worth keeping forever.
Yeah.
Like this haircut.
That laugh, he was such a legend. Now, his superpower was being able to make you feel like the center of the world. That's why so many people love him and miss him. Unfortunately, he passed away very early on in 2020 at the beginning of the pandemic. You know, one nice thing, too, I can see is it's a tattoo parlor now, which I think is pretty decent sort of evolution for this spot, given its rock and roll history. And it looks like they also sort of continued the homage to Jimmy with the pink lettering. Of course, his big color theme inside I Need More was pink and black. I Need More, by the way, was named after an Iggy Pop song, someone he became friends with. He was the king of manifesting the life he wanted into reality. True New York legend. And of course, what walking toward the Lower East Side could end any other way, but head into Katz's Deli for lunch.
Mustard?
Yeah, please.
Enjoy day, bro, okay? Thank you guys. Enjoy.
Check this out. That's the famous Katz's pastrami sandwich. I'm gonna put a little more mustard on this. This thing is super rich, but so tender. Yeah, that's amazing. Normally a sandwich this thick would be impossible to bite. You'd be chewing and chewing and chewing, but this really does just melt in your mouth. Amazing. So good. Don't want any of that to go to waste. I do like a little extra mustard on it. And I'll try the pickles here too. Nice, crisp, refreshing little palate cleanser after the richness of the pastrami. Really cuts through. Sort of gives your mouth a refresh. And the coleslaw, it's exactly how I like it. Lots of mayo, but more importantly, lots of horseradish in there. It's got a good bite to it. The pickles and the coleslaw definitely offset the richness of the pastrami. Amazing. Classic combo. And then to wash it all down, cream soda. Fantastic. You know, definitely not an everyday occurrence, but if you're here or if you live here and you haven't been here in a while, place never lets down. This place always delivers. Check this slab of pastrami. So I really did not think I would eat this much, but boy, it is good. I forget how good this was. And I came here on an empty stomach too, which definitely was the right move. Rye bread is so good. Everything is so good. It's exactly what you want it to be. Mustard, everything, perfect. Whatever you do, don't forget your ticket. This is how they keep track of what you ordered. They hit you with a massive fee if you lose the ticket.